Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 7, Hindutva, V.D. Savarkar and M.S. Golwalkar. Let us have introduction about the unit. The ideology of Hindutva was essentially the ideology of Hindu nationalism. The first prominent exponent of Hindu nationalist ideology was Mr. V.D. Savarkar. He wrote a book called Hindutva in 1924 to explain the basic principles of Hindu nationalism. In 1925, the RSS or the Rashtriya Swam Sevak Sangh was formed to protect the Hindu from the Muslim aggression. The RSS was established by Dr. Keshav Baliram Hedwekar. In the subsequent period, Savarkar and the RSS propagated the Hindu nationalist ideology against the ideology of the composite Indian nationalism expounded by Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress. Mr. M.S. Golwalkar, who succeeded Hedwar, expounded the Hindu nationalist ideology of the RSS. The basic difference between Hinduism and Hindutva is that Hinduism stands for Hindu religion, but Hindutva is a political ideology that wants to establish a Hindu nation in India. Hinduism does not have any political agenda, but Hindutva has a specific political agenda. Now, the next point, background of the rise of Hindu nationalist ideology. After the failure of non-cooperation movement, there was growth of communal and separatist ideas, both among Hindus and Muslims. Both of them claimed that their ideology was not a communal ideology, but it was a true nationalist ideology which took into consideration the culture and religion of the people. After 1922-23, the followers of Lokmanya Tilak started supporting the Hindutva movement. Along with them, the newly educated Hindu middle class also supported it. The Mopala revolt in Kerala created a lot of unrest in the Hindu community. The main arguments of the Hindutva supporters were as follows. First, the past, the Hindus suffered many a defeat and lost their independence into the foreign invaders because of lack of unity. They had numbers, valors, and resources at their command, but they faced defeat due to lack of unity. Second, the Hindu had been losing their members due to the aggressive proselytization of the Christian missionaries and the Muslims. As a result, in a long time, they would be reduced to a minority in their land of birth. Hence, in order to maintain the level of Hindu population, the Shuddhi and the Sangatana movements should be launched. Shuddhi stands for reconversion of Hindus. Third, there was a need to protect the political interest of Hindus because the British government was hostile to them. The Muslims aggressively pursued their separatist agenda, and the Congress, under the false notion of secularism, was betraying the cause of Hindu. In India, we could see the emergence of two traditions of Hindutva. The first tradition was led by V.D. Savarkar, and the second tradition was led by M.S. Golwalkar. Though both the traditions professed their allegiance to the ideology of Hindutva, their emphasis and the methods differed. Now let us discuss political career of the V.D. Savarkar. V.D. Savarkar 1883 to 1966 was a charismatic leader who played a significant role in the freedom struggle of India. For his revolutionary activities, he was sent to Andamans in 1911 and was brought back to India in 1922. Subsequently, he was kept confined to Ratnagiri town from 1923 to 1937. During this period, he suffered great hardships and made countless sacrifices in the cause of the freedom of the country. There were two phases in the ideological development of Savarkar. In the first phase of his life, he was influenced by the philosophy of the Italian nationalist Joseph Mazzini and supported the concept of the composite Indian nationalism, which was not different from the nationalism of Aurobindo and Tilak. During this period, religion played an important role in his concept of nationalism, but it did not exclude any religious community from it. But in the second phase of his career, after 1922 to 23, Savarkar became the supporter of Hindu nationalism. After his release from the confinement in 1937, he joined the Hindu Mahasabha and became its president from 1938 to 1945. Next point is Savarkar's views on social change. V.D. Savarkar was a product of Renaissance in the Western India, and in his early days he was influenced by the philosophy of Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, a nationalist philosopher. Agarkar was deeply influenced by the ideas of Herbert Spencer, J. Bentham, and J. S. Mill. Savarkar was not a religious man, and throughout of his life he eschewed all religious practices. From the European philosophical tradition, he borrowed three important ideas. First, a nature, and in all human societies, the principle of life struggle determined the course of action, because in this life struggle the fittest survived, and those who could not stand the struggle got eliminated. Second, violence was inbuilt in the creation of nature, and the nature abhorred absolute non-violence. But due to gradual development of human beings, both violence and non-violence got intervened. Hence, in this difficult life, man should acquire strength and power to overcome the problems he faced. Third, there was no absolute morality in the world. Morality or immorality of a particular action was ultimately determined by the factors such as time, space, and object. The use of all weapons was desirable provided it was directed against slavery and imperialism. Thus, it was relativistic ethics. Savarkar was a supporter of positivist epistemology and accepted the direct evidence of the senses as the only valid source of knowledge. He rejected the sanctity of religious scriptures and maintained that all religious scriptures were man made and their teachings could not be applied to all societies in all times. He rejected otherworldly philosophy of Shankara and Ramanuja and discontinued otherworldly pursuits of man. He held that to secure the progress of country, to acquire more power and strength, and to live good and prosperous life, we must pursue these worldly goals. For that purpose, we must use science and technology. He favored the pursuit of science and reason and criticized irrational and superstitious practices of Hindus. Thus, in Savarkar theories of social change, the principle of life struggle played an important role. For him, reason, science, and technology were important to bring about the change in the society. Now we want to wind up this lecture and thank you so much for your attention.